Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Just a bit of housekeeping before we go into this week's episode. We had a long chat about continuing the podcast during this time, this uncertain time of lockdown and worry, and we decided ultimately to keep going because I think it's worth having something to look forward to in the day and worth having something to enjoy. So hopefully we bring some sort of entertainment to your day, some sort of enjoyment, and for that we hope everything is good with you. So we sit down and have a conversation with Kory from the band PDATH and the Hyena, one of the newer bands that we've been working with recently, and we have a chat about one of the oldest bands that BSM's worked with, the brilliant Joyce Manor. So enjoy. Well, welcome to Band on Band, the BSM podcast, where my guest, Kory from PDATH, talks about his favourite BSM release, and you have chosen
one of,
of course. Yeah. There's many good releases out there, but
it's very hard to choose.
It's a tough question. People usually come back with a solid answer, but I've not had many who have had multiple, but that's okay. So you've picked Joyce Manor and their album Of All Things I Will Soon Grow Tired.
Yes, I have chosen that.
What a very good record.
I love it.
Do you want to tell me about the first time you heard Joyce Manor in this album? How that made you feel?
The first time I heard Joyce Manor, the band.
Yeah.
I actually somehow I was like pretty heavily involved with like in like late middle school, early high school even. I was like very heavily involved with like orgcore, like punknews.org, like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was a pretty big fan of Joyce Manor before they even released their the self-titled, the full length. Like they had an EP out with like, I think it was called either Constant Nothing or Constant Headache, and it had like Chumped and 5 Beer Plan. And I was a fan of the band when that EP came out.
Yeah, back in the day.
And then that was probably like 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
So I've kind of just been a fan ever since I've known they existed. I think ever since like the beginning of the band, probably. I think that's their first release.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's, I think I've been a fan since the beginning of the band. I think they have a very, very solid career.
Yeah, absolutely. How did it make you feel like discovering that band for the first time? What was it that sort of like drew you in, that sort of tweaked your head?
It's everything I want in music, you know? It's like, it's super, super poppy. Like it's got hooks and it's catchy and it's poppy, but it's also like fast and in your face. And, you know, no song on that record was over 2 minutes, I don't think. Like that was just like a really cool concept to me.
Yeah.
Like they're writing like very like Weezery bubblegum pop songs, except like disguising them as like Tony Hawk's skate punk songs. and that's like literally like all of my interests in one band, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like anything, they seem to be from the same sort of age range of us, or maybe slightly a little bit older, but we've all grown up with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 being basically the soundtrack of our lives.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Like all those Pro Skater games.
Yeah. And anything from Of All Things feels like that album could have just been on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Oh yeah. That song, If I Needed You There.
Yeah.
That song is a straight up Tony Hawk song. that is a skateboarding song, 100%.
I wish I could skateboard as well as I could play drums back in the day. I really enjoyed the Video Killed the Radio Star cover on this album. I feel like
I think it's a great cover.
A lot of bands just like play the song when they're covering it, but the fact that there's like a whole different melody line on this, and it's just, I think that is the longest song on the record.
Yeah, no, I have a weird relationship with that song because I think it's the longest song on the record by like
a second.
It's probably like double the length of the second longest song on the record. It's the record is like what 13 minutes long or something, and that song is like 3 minutes long. So it's like that cover, the song they didn't even write, is like a quarter of the record. So I'm like, in that sense, I'm kind of like, interesting decision. Yeah. However, However, I do think the cover itself is great.
Yeah, it rocks.
Like I think it really rocks. Like, and seeing them play that live, like it just feels like another Joyce Manor song, honestly.
Yeah, I remember that coming out on a 10-inch over here when BSM put it out. BSM 128.
I think I have that.
Yeah,
I think I have that variant.
sick.
Yeah, I think I have every variant of all. I think I have every variant of the first press of all things, because I was like obsessed with the band when that came out.
A true collector.
I have like, I mean, I think that's like the only album I have all like, I actually have multiple copies of. I have six variants of it, I think, which I think is every variant of the first press.
That is like a small punk retirement fund sitting there. But because it's so short, I feel like it definitely could have fit on a 7-inch, but obviously 10 inches are kind of fun.
Especially without the cover.
Yeah.
If it was just the originals, that could have been an EP for sure.
So you said that
which is cool.
You said that you enjoy watching them live. When was the first time that you caught the band live?
Honestly, this is a really good story, actually. I went to see them. My dad, I was like probably this is like right when this record was coming out. So I think 2012, 13 maybe.
Yeah.
I was in high school. My dad brought me and my friend to this. I forget what it's called. Vans used to throw these free shows in New York City. It was like the Vans house. It was called the House of Vans, I think. That's what it was called. And like in the summer, they do like a show a month with just like these stacked lineups, like Hop Along, Titus Andronicus, Joyce Manor, Cursive, Kid Dynamite. You know, just like these like really stacked lineups. And I went to the Joyce Manor one. And it was free. It was all ages. It was great. I had a great time. But that was in the middle of their tour with Algernon Cadwallader, which also happened to be Algernon Cadwallader's last tour ever. They announced that being the last one. And the House of Vans show was in the middle of the day. Like it was at like Joyce Manor probably put it at like noon. So we did that. And yeah, exactly. Lunchtime punks. And then we wanted the actual tour date, like the Algernon and Joyce Manor tour date, was later that night in Brooklyn at a place called like Acheron or something.
Okay,
but it was 18 plus, and I was like 15 or 16.
Oh God!
So I didn't really know what to do. So I went up to Barry at the early show, and I was like, "Yo, like we came from like 3 hours away. We really want to go see y'all tonight. Like, is there any possible way you could help us out?" He gave me his number. He was totally chill about it. He gave me his number. 5 hours passed. We show up like at load in. I text him and he's like, "Yeah, coming to the van." And then we load in all their shit with them, and they tell all the bouncers and stuff that we're in Joyce Manor. And like as 15-year-olds, that was like our favorite band. And like we were like, holy shit, this is really happy. Like this is cooler than just going to the show. Yeah. We're like loading their shit in for them. Like my dad's buying them drinks and shit. Like it was a lot of fun. It was a really cool experience. Yeah. I'm really happy that happened. Yeah.
Is being in Joyce Manor for a brief hot minute on your resume now?
It's definitely a story I like to tell people. Yeah, it's definitely something I don't keep to myself.
No, absolutely. I was about to say, I didn't know there was going to be another show that evening, but I mean, everyone loves an early curfew, and finishing a show at like noon, those guys would have played like 15 minutes and it would have been over. I was asking Kev the other day about Joyce Manor, and he was telling me how when they first came to the UK, they played a show at the Old Blue Last in London. I think it was a free show, and it was like a 4-band bill, and Narwhals opened it. I can't remember who else was on the show, but Narwhals opened in that show in 2013.
Who was it?
Narwhals, who are like a Brighton skate punk band.
I definitely have heard of that band.
Yeah, they opened, and he was like, the queue was so far out the venue, down the stairs, into the bar, went around the outside of the venue, and then onto the adjacent street, and they could have easily put on like 5 gigs there, and it would have all sold out. It was like 1 in, 1 out from the moment they came over. So,
are they a big band over there?
Yeah, I feel like they've come over quite a few times now, and they I saw them last year, and they played Thekla in Bristol, which is like the Boat in Bristol, and that sold out. And they seem to be playing like those sort of 200 cap, 300 cap rooms.
Wait, are we talking about Joyce Manor or Narwhals?
Joyce Manor. Narwhals are not a band anymore, but they also play they also played pretty big shows during their time. They opened up like Reading and Leeds Festival.
I think our driver in the UK is the same person who drives Joyce Manor. If I'm not mistaken,
Summers.
Our buddy Summers. Yeah, our buddy Summers. He drives Joyce Manor too.
He drives everyone.
He drives everyone. He's the coolest man. He's family to me, honestly. Yeah. I think he is like, once there's certain people you meet on tour that are like acquaintances and you're excited to see them, whatever. Yeah. And then there's certain people you meet on tour where it's like, I don't care if I'm on tour. Like, you're not a tour friend to me. You're like an actual friend to me. Like, you are you're family, you know? And Summers was immediately one of those people who would just like, we connected with Summers immediately.
Yeah. I think everyone has that reaction with him. And that's what you want on the road.
Absolutely. I got shotgun every day. So me and him could bond.
I saw him the other day, and when I went to a show in Bristol, and we were talking about you lot coming over again. He was pretty hyped on that. So he's a good guy, and he's driving Chris Farron when he comes over. Little plug there.
Yes, I heard that too. I did a couple of days with. I hopped on the Chris Farron Max Zero Retirement Party tour for like 4 days, and Chris told me that, and I was like, "Damn, that's my boy. That is my boy.
He's gonna have a great time."
Yes, he is.
So as a young artist, you say you're seeing them, Joyce Manor, that is, back when you were 15, 16 in high school. What was it that like instantly sort of inspired you about that band, and then later on listening to this album, what was it that the songwriting? How did that inspire you?
How did Joyce Manor inspire me as a songwriter? You're saying?
Like seeing them for the first time, seeing that punk could be something you're into.
Like, I mean, I feel like it's different now because they had that whole thing with like the no stage diving thing that was kind of like a huge PR thing. Yeah. Like it blew up, and they kind of got cemented as like the band who hated stage diving, even though I kind of feel like maybe it got blew out of proportion a little bit, but I feel like back in the day, seeing that band, like the time after that, I was like I saw them with Andrew Jackson Jihad, I think, and they were opening.
Whoa, good show.
But dude, their set, like they started with Beach Community and it has that drum fill, the they just started with that immediately, and there was that immediate push towards the stage from the entire crowd. And I've never been in an audience as like enthusiastic and rowdy. It was the jungle, and it was like very inspiring to me as someone who like never has performed, but like obviously like as a 15-year-old who loves Green Day and shit, like that is like that's seeing that and witnessing that and being part of it is like kind of important in a sense,
Yeah.
And it's inspiring and just like. I thrive. I would love Prince. I mean, they kind of are, I guess. I like when Prince Daddy shows turn out to be how Joyce Manor shows used to be.
Yeah, rowdy.
Like before, just really rowdy and turn into like kind of a jungle, like kind of chaos, just like everyone kind of just jumping on each other, being safe, obviously. No one being a dick. No one's throwing punches. I don't want anyone throwing punches or like, intentionally being a dick, but like, I feel like there definitely is a certain expectation when you go to certain shows that like, it is going to be rowdy, and I do like to be the band to have that expectation because I think that's huge for me as the performer too, where it's just like, if I get up there and everyone's standing still, the set is like 70% less fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas if I get up there and I start playing and like immediately like people start singing and jumping off the stage and like climbing on top of each other, like that's just exhilarating for me, and it really like warms my heart that people care enough to put in energy to express their enthusiasm towards my songs. Like that's very important and special to me, and I think Joyce Manor was the first band to like that I ever saw who like made me realize like this is the rewarding part of writing songs.
Absolutely. It's the the untold energy that comes from the room that can really change a set and a show. And like you said, if people are vibing 100%. On it, you're playing better, you're playing with much more confidence, you're enjoying it way more. I mean, everyone enjoys
I'm fueled by it.
Exactly.
I'm 100 like I will play a worse of a set. Like I feel like half of the when I measure, like if I'm measuring a set after it's done, only 50% of that judgment comes from like my performance and my band's performance. The other 50% of me like thinking how cool of a set that was like the crowd's participation and the energy in the room,
100%.
which is like something you can't really script.
No.
You know, you can't plan that. It's just like it either fucking rocks or it's a stinker.
Yeah.
And there will be stinkers, but like that just makes the rockers like way more special and intimate.
And those are the things that you remember as well. Like if you're going on tour and you're playing weeks and weeks and weeks on end, you're playing the same set. Maybe you're throwing in maybe a cover here and there, maybe a change up.
Right.
But you're not. Mm-hmm. You're going to remember the flat shows and the shows that go crazy because you're playing. Playing the same set, and also from like the audience's point of view. Like if I'm hanging out, I mean, I'm like 6 foot, so sometimes I only crowd surf sometimes when I'm, when it's there, it's there for me and it's safe.
Yeah.
If I'm standing in the back and I'm seeing, people going ape shit, I'm going to be like, that show is incredible. But then on the other side, if it's flat, I'm going to feel a bit bad.
Right.
Which is mad.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the whole like Barry making the big to do out of the stage diving thing was called for.
Yeah.
Cause like cause I feel like there was people, they had this weird mix of like, their fan base was like 50% like 14-year-old like Tumblr kids. And then 50% like actual, like this is hardcore kids.
Yeah.
So like there's kids going to these shows, not knowing, like there's like these like 14-year-olds getting dropped off by their parents who like want to scream along to Constant Headache. Yeah. But then there's also these like 25-year-olds getting dropped off with like face tats and like straight edge kids who are like throwing punches and like throwing elbows and shit, which isn't chill, you know?
No one wants that.
And I feel like when Barry said that, it was just like he just kind of reached a boiling point.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. I would too if I see like if I'm seeing like 13-year-old girls getting whacked in the face by like big ass buff dudes, you know what I'm saying?
There's no
like,
time for that.
That would upset me. That would upset me as the person whose show this is.
Yeah.
But I think people, when that was like posted online and stuff, I think people took that more as like more like, I think Barry meant something more specific than the public took it, if that makes any sense.
Maybe it wasn't. It was portrayed in its true light.
Yeah, like I don't know Barry personally, but judging by like seeing him since then, I don't think Barry wants people to stop jumping around at shows. Like I don't think Barry wants the enthusiasm to stop. Like I saw them at like Bloodfest a couple like last year or something or 2 years ago, and there's people stage diving and he was having a great time. He was like high-fiving kids who like stage dove and shit, and it was like I kind of like at that point I understood like where he was coming from. Like that was a specific incident, like a specific situation that was reoccurring that he wanted to address. Yeah. But it kind of was maybe taken out of context to people who weren't directly involved.
Awesome. I mean, everyone's there to have a good time, and even if it's safe and everyone's having a nice time, no one's being a dick. That's what you want every time.
That's perfect.
That's what you want every time.
Absolutely.
Final question, and I'll leave you to it. What is your favorite Joyce Manor song? Doesn't have to be from the SM release. It could be.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because you're talking so enthusiastically about this band.
This is truly one of my favorite bands. I think this is one of the few bands where, how many records deep are they now? 5, maybe 6, 5 or 6. I think
2 EPs if you count all their songs together.
So they have like a pretty dense discography, and I feel like most bands, once they get to that point, even the best bands in the world, they have a misstep. Like they have a laughable, regrettable record. Where I feel like with Joyce Manor, even though like every record's not a masterpiece, they've never made like a huge misstep. Like I feel like all their records are great at least. So it's hard. It's very hard. Favorite Joyce Manor song.
I love putting people on the spot.
Can I give you a couple? How about I give you one from each album?
Okay, that's if you were explaining each album to a person who'd never heard of them, one song from each album.
I would love to do that. Yeah. I would love to do one from each album.
Let's do that.
That would be my okay. Self-titled, I would say Derailed.
Yep.
PDATH has covered that impromptu before as it like just for fun. Actually, wait, can I tell before I do this, can I tell a story?
Of course you can.
The Bloodfest that I saw Joyce Manor at, we got invited to play, but the only slot available was during Joyce Manor's set. So we said no, and we went to Bloodfest to go watch Joyce Manor, and then we played an after show an hour down the road, and we covered Derailed at that after show. Fun fact. Okay, but of all things, my favorite song is "See How Tame I Can Be," which is probably my favorite Joyce Manor song of all time. Honestly,
I like that one.
yeah, "See How Tame I Can Be" is up there for my favorite Joyce Manor song. Am I cutting out? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Never Hungover Again. Favorite song is Catalina Fight Song, probably. That song rocks.
Yeah, that is a good one. I like that too,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty standard.
Right on. Cody, Last You Heard of Me, another Joyce Manor's greatest songs ever written. I love that song.
For my money, the best album.
What'd you say?
Cody, for my money, is the best album.
That's your favorite Joyce Manor album, Cody?
Yeah, that rocks.
Yeah, I like that album a lot too. That album's great. And then $1 Million to Kill Me, the best song is Silly Games, because it sounds like another one of my favorite bands called Granddaddy, and I think they killed it.
Great.
Yeah.
Love that. We will share all those songs in the show notes for everyone. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, my friend.
Dude, thank you for having me. It means a lot.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
So there you have it. That's my chat with Kory from Prince Daddy the Hyena about Joyce Manor. What a lovely chat. Had a real nice time. That was during an intense period of podcast recording for Kory. I hope he enjoyed his marathon podcast recording session. Most of them are out. If you are looking for something to listen to, head over to the PDATH Twitter feed, and I'm sure they'll be retweeting themselves. Band was recorded and hosted by me, Connor P. Laws, and my good friend and quarantine enthusiast Oscar Lydiard edited everything together. It was a bit of an odd one to record and do all this separate from each other. He's usually the archetype of motivation, and that motivation has been missed. Anyway, keep yourself safe, keep your eyes peeled to our Instagram, Spotify, and all that stuff. Share with your friends, call your friends, and stay safe. Bye.